Colleagues, we begin our working day. The first press briefing today is the report by NGO Razom, human rights in the occupied territories in Crimea. I invite Ivanna Bilych and a lawyer, doctor of Franko University in Lviv, Olena Sharvan, and also Mateush de Moura Sena, lawyer and the co-author of legal reports, a member of the International Fiscal Council in Singapore. Доброго ранку. Ми з організації «Разом» хотілося б подякувати Українському кризовому медіа-центру, те, що ви нас це сьогодні приймаєте, враховуючи, даєте нам таку можливість поговорити про ситуацію, і що ми робимо, що ми зробили, які у нас результати. Ми зразили цей звіт разом. Це американська організація з прав людини, яка працює на права людини. Слідкуємо за виконанням минулого року ми робили рапорт.
Crisis in Ukraine. Then we present that in United Nations. Moreover, we have another presentation, a roundtable where we discuss that further at NYU. In August of 2014, we bring that to Rio de Janeiro, where we present that the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. And Ivanna presented also the report and discuss about the use of Soviet symbols. The report that we're presenting now, it's a study about Crimea, the human rights violations, and what can be done, not only in the recommendations to government, to Ukraine, to NGOs, to Russia, to international community, but also a manual that is practical and then can be used by the population itself in the ground. And about that, I invite Ivanna to talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Mateusz. Thank you everyone for coming in today, and we would like to talk a little bit about the work that we have done. This is the analytical report itself that has two parts, the analytical part and the manual. And the manual has been translated into Ukrainian, Crimean Tatar, and Russian languages, so it can be used by people on the ground in helping them to understand their rights. Предметом дослідження нашого
The subject of the study or report is we said the regime should be on the occupied territory or after occupation by Russian Federation, the Ukrainian territory in Crimea. There was a change. Not only political regime, but also regime of human rights, and we illegally qualify a violation of human rights in Crimea since February 2014, since the period of occupation. We don't have people in Crimea. We used factual data from such respective organizations as UN, Human Rights, Amnesty International, Maidan Foreign Affairs, the report of Andriy Klemenko, which was written in cooperation with Freedom House and Atlantic Council. Efficiency of human rights, and we'll make conclusions that we don't have that. And we're trying to find ways how to solve these problems, and also how to provide human rights more efficiently in Crimea. And we approach this from the point of view of state building and the policy development of because what is happening in Crimea, this is the issue of security, national security of Ukraine, European security, and global security. During the research study, we found out that during the time of occupation and all the rights were violated, abused, and the Russian Federation abused all international commitments, Budapest Memorandum Statute of the UN, General Declaration of Human Rights of Helsinki, final accords of Helsinki Convention on Human Rights, Treaty on Friendship, and many other treaties between Ukraine and Russian Federation, and other international players, Russian Federation. We come to the conclusion that Russian Federation, after occupation of Crimea, it destroyed that international system and law which was built, have been built after World War II, and so there's a political and legal vacuum. We have some more than 60 recommendations, and the subject of recommendations are Ukrainian government, civil society in Ukraine, international community, and also we have recommendations for Russia. Which is illegitimate power in Crimea. Our recommendations as to for Ukrainian government and international there is a triangle, logic triangle to Ukrainian government suggested to do some things in international support to support Ukrainian government to implement those things into life. If they give financial support, and they should audit. And civil society should demand implementation of those recommendations. So we suggest to create the most important recommendation, to have a special court of special jurisdiction as in Lebanon. What does it mean? That a special court which would observe violation, abuse of human rights since the beginning of Maidan in Crimea and in the east of Ukraine. That would help to solve a lot of social, legal issues, and we would start building the rule of law. We suggested to build a database, and citizens of Ukraine and Crimea, and they could send information about the property, about the violation of their rights in Crimea, any information, anonymous or not. For that information in the future to be used by them, and in publicly or privately, the UN must provide such a mandate. Also, it's suggested to monitor violation of human rights in Crimea by the ombudsman of the parliament, and that person should go to Crimea, and they should speak to people, or should learn from people what is happening on occupied territory. We suggest to provide residents of Crimea with Ukrainian TV and radio channels, because the citizens of Ukraine, they have the right to receive true information, and they were brutally exempt of that right, and they should get that information. Invite the international community to help Ukraine within that. That includes telecommunication through satellites for residents of Crimea to be able to communicate with the mainland, with their friends, relatives, etc. We understand that there will be limitations because there is a need to have security and to prevent infiltration, terrorist attacks occupying government can organize against citizens of Ukraine and Crimea, and on the mainland, probably that requires systemic political approach, and it should be solved. In border, on border territories, we suggest to make such shops, line of shops for people to come and to buy, instead of those lobby laws which protect some business interests. For Russian Federation, we have a recommendation, and occupational government, and our recommendations are the same like in the previous year. They should pull back their troops from the territory. They should recognize Crimea, Ukrainian territory according to international laws, Ukrainian laws, and Russian laws. To stop imposing Russian citizenship in Crimea, and to liquidate so-called self-defense. Olena Sharvan now, who will give you details about the manual on human rights protection in Crimea.
Good morning. Once again, I would like to thank you very much for extending me an invitation. As Mateusz said a few minutes ago, our Razom organization is an American organization, but it works for the benefit of Ukraine. That's why we, first of all, are interested in the welfare of the ordinary people. In thinking about them, we prepared a kind of brochure, a manual on the human rights. Its objective is to acquaint the citizens of Crimea with their rights, which what it means, how to protect this right, who you should address in order to protect your rights, what to demand in case rights are violated, and human rights. Unfortunately, this information is not exhaustive, it's not sufficient. Until today, nothing like this manual has been ever published, and we actually undertook this obligation or commitment, thinking to help those citizens of Crimea who were compelled to leave their houses and dwellings. You can see the structure of that. We tried to prepare this manual or guidebook as much accessible to those people as possible, and people who would use this manual in their struggle for their rights. There are several parts. Part one actually contains the general methods and instructions how to protect your respective rights. Even step-by-step actions, if you wish to implement or to use your rights, or in case of violation or infringement of those rights, starting from the, let's say, fighting the illegal order, all the way up to addressing some top-level instance. The part two actually deals with the report, and the report is in our guide and book. We are dealing with 21 cases of violation of human rights. Each right has its specifics and content, and in those instruction guidelines we try to explain this content and possible response to the violations of their rights. Also, we take special pride, and we believe that this will be much useful and required not only for the Crimean citizens but anyone. This is a list of contacts. It's kind of a reference book where you could what office you should address in order to get some help. There are email addresses, telephone numbers, all contact information, who and what you can contact. There are a lot of organizations working, operating this sphere, but they do not know that your specific right has been violated. That's why using this reference book, the citizens and the residents of the Crimea will know who to address to get the help. We tried to make this guidebook as accessible and comprehensible as possible. First of all, who this or another right covers which group of people. Then we explain the context of this right. It's not enough to say that you have the right to freedom of speech, because this includes the right to express your thoughts, and also the right given to anybody else to protect this right of yours. So we are talking about the right and the commitments and duties of this public and the state to protect your rights, both negative and positive. Positive is providing your assistance and protect your right. Negative is not to do anything, not to. In the Russian Federation, actually, well, it's both positive and negative rights. Limitation of rights is negative. Everybody says that the citizens of Crimea are living through a very difficult situation. In order for them to get back their right in the future, sometimes you have to agree to some kind of a reduction, limitation of this right. But we can say that those limitations might be within the boundaries of the right. So we are talking about the possible limitations or the cases and the conditions when international law actually believes it possible or accepts those kinds of limitations. So we are talking about different kinds of protection: self-protection, administrative protection, national or international organizations involved. But it's not enough to say this self-defense or self-protection or administrative complaint or claim. We also have to explain to them when they can actually ask for some kind of compensation or their losses, restitution, etc., etc. This manual, those citizens who know nothing about jurisprudence, they will find the explanations. So most of the cases they can come across. Of course, we could not provide all the necessary answers to all the possible questions, but we tried to do as much as we could. So we actually would like to ask you to give your comments, remarks, proposals, how we can make this manual or the text guidebook even better, and to spread and to disseminate this publication. Also, we'd like to invite you for the discussion. We had already discussion in Lviv and Kyiv-Mogila Academy. Next week we are going to have meetings and discussions in the European Human Rights Court, in the Council of Europe, in meetings with representatives of different countries. We are going to discuss our conclusions contained in the report in the University of Antwerp and the European Commissions. In the fall, in September, we'll present our report, maybe even the discussion of implementation of our recommendations in the UN headquarters in New York, in the American US universities and the US Congress. This has been already planned and approved. Also, I'd like to thank our partners who help us in Ukraine. This is Maidan of the Foreign Affairs for the arrangement and the organization of today's meetings. Also, we are going to have a discussion in the expert circle. Yesterday we held the roundtable discussion at Kyiv-Mogila Academy, where we invited to participate representatives of different universities and colleges. And again, we invite all of you for discussion. And should you have any kind of criticism or comments, we'll appreciate to have those. You see, this publication has been translated in Russian, Ukrainian, English, and the Crimean Tatar. We have 2 minutes for questions, so please be brief. Alexander Matvichuk, coordinator of the Citizens Initiative Euromaidan SOS. We have a discussion here in this kind. I didn't have time to acquaint myself with your publication. So speaking about your answer, your response to the discussion, Do you make provision in your manual to the use of the Russian legislation? Yes, definitely, because this is occupational authorities, and in order to take next steps under international law, the citizens have to approach the occupations authority. Of course, this is a very strenuous work, not in an aggressive way, but to demand the explanations. Also, they can approach the Ukrainian authorities of Ukraine, because they remain to be the citizens of Ukraine, and also they can address the international bodies. Andrei Klimenko, editor-in-chief, Internet portal News. Esteemed colleagues, I believe, and all the readers and viewers will find it interesting what kind of organization in the United States, how many of you work in there, your age, your location, whatever. As we already mentioned, this is a right protection organization which was registered and founded in the United States of America in the state of New York. It contains young professionals. We have more than 200 people who participated in several projects now. And sometimes for the implementation of individual projects, we involve volunteers, not only in the United States, but the world over. For example, my friends in Poland also work on some of the projects, or just maybe sometimes they try to disseminate the information about the violations of the human rights taking place in Ukraine. Also, they are involved in fundraising and collect the funds for the Ukrainians who need that. We are not only lawyers, not only we are involved in some judicial analysis or the, let's say, legal analysis. There is a lot of different other departments, not only the legal departments, which are involved in the humanitarian activities, fundraising, assisting children, the citizens who became victims during the Maidan revolution and in the east of Ukraine now. So we have a really big scope of our work, and we appreciate the assistance of our volunteers, because everything is done free. There is no remuneration or some kind of big sponsor contributions about which the Russian Federation propaganda is talking all the time. You know, people are very progressive, very young. All of them work according to their specialization, but they find some time to be involved in these public activities. Thank you very much. For the lack of time, we have to finish this briefing. Thank you again.